But I put this down, I put it down because I wanted to mention some of these things.
Gotcha.
As we talked, or for you to take this and have that information as you try to write something up.
Well, you were talking about the roasted peanuts.
Yeah. In the year, probably the year after I was the club president, as you know, other presidents, people you follow, have taken on a special project. And I chose to take on the peanut sales because the club decided that we needed another fundraiser.
Gotcha.
And Kiwanis International promotes peanut sales for all their clubs throughout the United States. And so our club decided that we should try selling honey roasted peanuts. And as you might suspect, a lot of people don't like the idea of having to go door to door and sell peanuts.
Right.
Any more than they like to sell popcorn or anything else from door to door. But various people in the club decided that they would try it. So we went to events around Mankato. The downtown mall, in fact, was very popular in those days. And so we set up booths on the weekends in the Mankato downtown city mall and set up a nice display. We had a special bulletin board and display case made to display all the honey roasted peanuts. And of course we were selling it in the 1 pound can, I think it was. But they went really well, and I took that on as a major effort, and I sold a lot of honey roasted peanuts on the Kiwanis label, and the whole bit is made up for the Kiwanis clubs. Yeah. But I think, and this was kind of from memory, I think I was the top salesman, and being the president and in charge of that operation, I probably spent the most hours in the mall selling honey roasted peanuts, because we never sold door to door, but we tried to be in locations where people would see us, see our display, and buy 1 or 2 or 3 cans of honey roasted peanuts. And I think we sold each can for about $5. And I have an idea we probably spent somewhere around $3. And of course, the difference was our profits, proceeds. I alone sold about $2,500 worth of honey roasted peanuts. And that was my efforts, and I was glad to do that, and I was glad that I had that much success, because I don't consider myself a salesman, but just being there and selling a good product turned out to be a very nice fundraiser, which I think went mostly for scholarships. We were heavy into scholarships for Minnesota State University, Mankato State at the time, and we needed money for scholarships because we funded a lot of scholarships, starting out in some around $600, $600 to $700 per person. We gave about 7 of those scholarships out per year. And so we needed a lot of money we had to raise, and we didn't have all those nice activities that we have today that raise big time money, and especially when I think about the amount of money we made at the Kiwanis Classic golf tournament every year, because in a matter of a few hours we made several $1,000s, and of course selling peanuts, you'd be lucky to sell $3,000 or $4,000 worth of peanuts if you sold for several months.
Right.
So that was the difference in the kind of project. But that was my project, and we had a lot of fun and made pretty good money selling honey roasted peanuts.
Now, was that done only during your presidential year, or did it continue after?
You know, it didn't continue. So as a fundraiser, something else probably came along. I don't know if it was golf. We had the travel logs at that time. Travel log was probably one of our biggest fundraisers. So peanuts was certainly way down the line in terms of active fundraising. I'm sure that the annual pancake feed was probably bigger, and I'm sure the travel log made more money. We used to pack that Mankato High School, West High School auditorium for a travel log, and we had 5 or 6 travel logs during a 9-month year. So I remember going to a lot of the travel logs. You ever been to a travel log?
I don't know if I made it to it. I remember writing about it when I was at the Free Press.
Anyway, travel log turned out to be, in those days, keeping in mind, a lot of people haven't traveled anywhere in terms of the world. Travel was something kind of new and probably just coming on. But because of that, most of the people in Mankato hadn't traveled much at all, anywhere. The travel log brought in a world traveler who showed pictures of his travels of that area.
Yeah.
And so every travel log show was for a different part of the country or different countries. And then he'd stand up there and do a verbal presentation, telling us about the pictures and things that he did and so forth. But the crowds were like full house. There'd be many a nights that the Mankato West Auditorium would be full of people that come and paid to see the travelogue,
Yeah.
because they'd never been to those countries. And they were good shows, and they were good pictures done by professional travelers, photographers, and so forth.
Yeah.
Anyway, that probably went down the tube, as did the salted or honey roasted peanuts. But we probably did a lot of those things over the years, and eventually got rid of the ones that probably were more work than money, and went into something a lot bigger, like I think about the band, what is it?
Thunder of Drums.
Thunder of Drums. I'm sure it turns out to be that would have come along about that time. You know, Thunder of Drums and other activities that we've gotten into in more recent years were probably much bigger fundraisers, including that golf outing.
Yeah.
But we grew up, Kiwanis grew up during those years, and we found other ways to make more money. Also during those years, and this is one of the things I put down because I'm very proud of this, but during those years, and you know this because you've come up through the ranks, when you start being a third vice president and a program chair and vice president of this and vice president of that, and eventually you become future president and eventually the president of the club. During those years, and for me right on through being lieutenant governor, I was very involved, very active, and spent a lot of hours every week doing Kiwanis work or attending Kiwanis board meetings. I did all the interclubs for our division, for this district. I think it was 6, but can't even remember that for sure. But I made a point of, whether it was morning, afternoon, or an evening club, I went out and visited every club within our service area that I was in charge of as lieutenant governor. So during that time, I spent a lot of time doing Kiwanis work and enjoying it. But the good news, and what I wanted to mention, during those years, I had 18 years of perfect attendance.
Wow.
So I thought, that's quite an honor. And had I not been at the point where I retired and went to Arizona for 24 years, because this is our 24th year we've gone to Arizona for the winter, that took me away from the club. So I'm sure I never would have had very many perfect attendance after I retired, because we weren't around during the winter.
And of course now you could, because you could just Zoom
Yes,
into meetings.
I could probably Zoom. I don't know if that would count or not by the current rules, but at least at that time I was in Mankato and I was working every day, so it was easy for me to work and attend to Kiwanis business and get 18 years of perfect attendance. Wow. During that time. And of course we gave out little pins every year for attendance prize. That wasn't attendance prize, it was kind of an attendance honor. So every year they'd have this program whereby we'd all get our new pin. So Joe got his 18th pin, and it was made so that it fastened right below our Kiwanis pin.
Okay.
So we had the Kiwanis pin hanging down below the Kiwanis pin was a little tab. And the little tabs showed how many years of perfect attendance you have. I don't know whether any of the current Kiwanis members know that or ever got one, because it was one of those things that disappeared.
Yeah.
But along the way, it was nice to not only have your current office as the pin, because every time I moved from one office to the other, I got a new pin saying I was now the president or the vice president or lieutenant governor or whatever. And then I had a little tab that hung down that told how many years of perfect attendance that I'd had in Kiwanis.
Nice.
Anyway, that's I put that down as something that I wanted to mention about